Are you thinking about moving to Bellingham, Washington? Well, in today's video, we're gonna talk about the one thing that will impact you every single day: the weather. I'm Blake Yahtzee. I'm a local real estate agent here, as well as someone who was born and raised here, and it's my job to help people relocate to the area. And one of the biggest questions that I get is, what is the weather like year round? Well, today we're gonna talk about Bellingham's climate, season by season. We'll go over the numbers, the myths versus the realities, as well as some pro tips from a sunshine-loving local on how to live with it. Make sure and stick around to the end because I'll also share how different neighborhoods and lifestyle choices are impacted by the weather here in Whatcom County. So first, let's talk about the big picture. Bellingham is a maritime climate because of its position on the Puget Sound, meaning we have a lot milder temperatures than a lot of the US, but we also do have a lot of clouds and drizzle. On average, Bellingham has between 34 and 36 inches of rainfall a year, which is actually less than Seattle, which averages 38 inches per year. And it's quite a bit less than Portland, Oregon, which averages 43 inches per year. And the big difference there is we just don't have huge downpours very often. Most of our rain is spread out over a large amount of days. It's about 160 days per year that it's drizzling. And that means that we also have quite a bit of cloud cover here. Bellingham averages about 225 or more partly cloudy or cloudy days. So as you can see, it's a lot more about the gray skies here than it is really about the rain. The best way to showcase our milder climate is the average annual high temperature and low temperature. The average annual high temperature is 59 degrees and the average annual low temperature is 43 degrees. So you can see there's not a huge gap there. We don't have really big extremes here in Bellingham. It rarely gets over 90 degrees in the summer and it rarely goes below 25 degrees in the winter. Now let's get into the amazing part about living in Bellingham, which is the sunnier weather. We have about 150 days of sunshine per year, which if you're from Phoenix or somewhere like that, that doesn't sound like very many, but it is enough for people to get outside, enjoy the outdoors. And similar to the day that I'm experiencing while I'm filming this, it was raining in the morning and now it's sort of cleared up. It is a little cloudy, but the blue skies are starting to come through and you're able to get outside and enjoy the outdoors. So the truth is, the rain doesn't impact you as much as people imagine. It's more the gray skies that will get to you in the winter months. So now we're gonna do a season by season breakdown, starting with spring, which is all about transition. In March, you have lows in the 30s and you have highs near 48 degrees. And then by May, you have highs averaging about 60 degrees and you still get down into the 40s at night. The rain starts tapering off in the spring and by April, we only are getting about 2.5 inches, but it is very unpredictable. So make sure to always keep a light rain jacket with you during the spring. People always joke that you can experience all 4 seasons in one day. So it makes it really challenging to dress yourself in the morning because you never know what sort of weather you're gonna get by the afternoon. One really cool aspect of spring is the cherry blossoms in Bellingham. One of the best places to witness them is driving through the Edgemore neighborhood. There's a lot of cherry trees there, as well as other places in Bellingham, but it's just really gorgeous and it only happens for a very short amount of time in the spring. Now on to summer, which is my favorite season and where Bellingham really shines. For the temperatures, in June, we average 69 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a wonderful temperature for doing activities in. And by July and August, we're averaging between 75 and 77 degrees Fahrenheit. As we said before, there's not many extremes. We don't get very many 90-degree-plus days. I think we only had a couple this year, but you can expect maybe a handful of 90-degree days, but it doesn't happen very often in Bellingham. One of the coolest parts about living in Bellingham is how much daylight we get in the summer. Right around the summer solstice, the sun is setting at almost 9:30 p.m. So you get 16 hours or more of daylight every single day. So it's plenty of time to get off work, go out on the boat on Lake Whatcom, do some wakeboarding, go kayaking out in the Sound, hiking, camping, biking, all of that. You have tons of daylight to do whatever you want to do outside. The one downside of summer in recent years, which is not something that I experienced growing up, is the wildfire smoke coming from the east side and up or down from Canada. And it usually happens in July or August. This year we were pretty fortunate. We didn't get any bad smoke down here and it was a really great summer, but it is something that's been happening and it's worth mentioning in a video like this. So after the beautiful summer, we do have really nice falls here in Bellingham. In September, the temperatures average a high of 70 degrees, kind of like today when I'm filming this video. Later today, it's gonna get up to 67. It was rainy and drizzly in the morning, and the blue skies are starting to come out, and it's really turning into a nice day. That being said, the average highs in November are in the upper 40s, and the average lows are in the upper 30s. And in October is when it really starts to rain. We get about 4 inches of rain in October each year. And November is one of our wettest months with between 5 and 6 inches of rain per year. October and November are also when you get most of the storms in Bellingham. You get really big gusts of wind off Bellingham Bay, sometimes getting up to 50 and 60 miles per hour. Fall really is an incredible time to be in the Pacific Northwest and Bellingham specifically. You could take a drive down Chuckanut and experience all the fall colors. You can go to Whatcom Falls Park and see them there as well. And it's kind of the kickoff to brewery season, and it's lots of cozy vibes going on in Bellingham at this time. So winter definitely can be tough in Bellingham. It's mild by national standards, but it is really gray. The average temperatures between December and February, the lows are 33 to 35 degrees, and the average high temperature is in the mid 40s. We get between 6 and 12 inches of snow each year, and it really only snows once or twice, and it just depends how heavy it snows then. And you're only really ever snowed in at most a week. They're good about plowing the main roads, and the snow's really wet here and it melts off quickly. If you are into snow, Mount Baker is just an hour and a half away and averages between 600 and 700 inches of snowfall each year. It's a great winter activity, and it's a huge draw for why people move to Bellingham, Washington. So while the weather may be mild and pretty easy to deal with, it's really the daylight that can get in your head. During the winter in December, we're only getting about 8 hours of daylight per day, and the sun is setting sometimes before 4:30 p.m. So you'll go to work in the dark, come home in the dark, and you won't even see the light of day for a whole month, which is incredibly difficult. And a lot of locals have these SAD lamps, the red light therapy lamps. You take vitamin D supplements, you go skiing a lot, or you lean into your indoor activities like going to enjoy live music, the coffee shops, or the brewery scene. So now let's talk about the unique weather quirks we have in Bellingham. The first being the strong winds in Bellingham Bay. If you go boating, sometimes the only place that's choppy is Bellingham Bay. And then once you get out into islands, it's actually a lot calmer, and we get really strong northerly and southerly winds. And when there's Arctic outflow events, we get Arctic blasts from the Fraser Valley in Canada. And even though the thermometer may say 30 degrees, the wind chill actually brings it down into the teens. So Bellingham is also unique because we have a lot of microclimates. Sudden Valley, for instance, is a lot wetter. It snows more than other parts of the county, while Fairhaven gets a lot more wind and stays a lot more mild because it's right next to the bay. There's also a portion of I-5 that's almost always foggy. Even if it's clear in Bellingham and clear in Skagit Valley, it just gets pocketed because of the way the mountains are. And it's really interesting, and it's hard to dress in Bellingham for that reason as well, because you might be getting ready in one part of the city and going to another part of the city, and it could be different weather than what you had prepared for. While the Pacific Northwest is known for rain, we are experiencing somewhat of a rain shadow effect from the Olympic Mountains, which is why we get less rain than Seattle and Everett. And there's even a place in Washington called Sequim, which has the lowest rainfall of anywhere in the United States, I believe. One of the biggest benefits of living in Bellingham is the air quality. I don't know if this is a unique quirk or not, but we have some of the best air in the world outside of wildfire season when it gets a little smoky. The rest of the year, the air quality is absolutely incredible. Once you live here for any amount of time, going to visit somewhere like New York and then coming back to Bellingham, stepping off the plane is one of the most incredible experiences ever. And I look forward for you to have that as well. So how do people deal with the weather here in Bellingham, Washington? The first step is to get the right gear. People rarely use umbrellas here, so investing in a nice rain jacket is a really good call, as well as some waterproof boots. And make sure to layer during the fall and the spring and even in the winter, just to make sure you have some stuff to shed if it gets sunnier later in the day. The other thing locals do is just go outside anyways. Even if there's a little drizzle, that doesn't stop people in Bellingham from going on a hike, going biking, or doing any of the other things that they love to do outside. You usually just wear your rain jacket and the proper gear and you go out anyways. During the gray and rainier and cold months in Bellingham, it's also a really great time to lean into the community and the culture that we have here. Go and see some live music, go to a brewery, read a book at a coffee shop, and just get out of your house to make sure that you're around other people and you don't turn into a hermit in the winter months. The other thing worth noting is that a lot of the locals prefer drizzly, rainy weather over the sunshine. I think that's crazy, but it is the truth. People get too hot in the summer here in Bellingham. You'll often hear more people complain about how hot it is than complain during the rainier and drizzly months of the year. And that's just how people are here. They don't mind the rain. They love wearing their sweaters and their rain jackets and their puffy coats. And that's just what people like here. That's why people move here, is because they're tired of these extreme weather patterns that you get in other places. They don't like it when it's too hot. They don't like it when it's too cold. And Bellingham is a really good place if that's your desired weather. The summers are gorgeous here though. They really don't get too hot, and it is a great place to live as long as you can make it through December and February by scheduling a vacation or something like that and getting some sun. You will make it through no problem. To wrap it all up, Bellingham has much milder weather than I think everybody assumes. We have some of the most beautiful summers in the entire country, and fall and spring are gorgeous for their own reasons. You have the flowers, the tulips, the cherry blossoms in the spring, you have the leaves falling and all the fall activities in the fall. And if you know what to do, winters aren't so bad. Schedule a vacation, go up to Mount Baker, enjoy one of the amazing coffee shops, and you'll get through just fine. If you are planning to move to Bellingham, I would love to help you navigate it. All my information is going to be down in the description below. You can call or text me, send me an email, whatever you're most comfortable. I also have a free relocation guide in the description, as well as the pinned comment. I have a restaurants guide down there as well if you're visiting and need to know places to eat. And I also made a guide for the weather in Bellingham, so that way you're prepared for when you move here. If this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to stay up to date on property tours as well as living in Bellingham, Washington. And I'll see you in the next video.